Welcome to the Worst Job Podcast. My name is Michael Kennedy.
I'm Tom Hoffman, and
our guests today are Katie Ray and Lauren Mourning. This job today I can't talk, but if I could talk, I would say that this idea of this podcast is to tell stories about your worst job, or if you don't have a worst job, well, tell a story about that job anyways, because that's the story. So go ahead, I'll start out telling about my worst job. I worked for the Village of Cary, and in that job, I was doing a lot of different things. I would water plants around town. I would drive around, cut down trees, pick up garbage, and, that was not the best, but the worst part of it was every day before lunch, if there was any roadkill, we were sent out to go pick up the roadkill. As you can imagine, picking up a dead skunk and then going to lunch, you're not going to have much of an appetite.
I think that's more of a perk. I think they're paying for your lunch there. I don't think that's really anything bad about that. They send you out and you get a free, fresh meal. I really feel like you shouldn't be complaining about that aspect of the job. That sounds like a sweet benefit of working for the city.
Yeah, it's free food. Why are you mad at it?
She's not a fan of us talking about
Yes, the other guest on this podcast is, of course, Lucy, and she will chime in every now and again as well. But yes, I do think it was nice to have the free meal every day. Take it home, doggy bag.
You learn how to cook that stuff up. Squirrel stew, raccoon roast, more alliteration,
Of course you develop
possum,
words, but
pot roast,
Possum pot roast,
chipmunk, Chinese food.
I mean, as though Chinese food wasn't already chipmunk.
You could also do cat Chinese food. I feel it's more accurate.
Yes.
Equally as racist.
Or doubly so.
I don't know if I really had. I had a couple of crappy jobs, but I worked at a retail store that was it was an outlet store, so it was Sears outlet. So it was all like the rejected clothing or stuff that was returned was sent to the store. Yeah, they're usually good. This one was in an old Kmart, but instead of cleaning up the Kmart,
so it was a Sears and an old Kmart.
Yeah, it was a Sears.
So that building was just haunted.
It was, yeah. So
by failed businesses.
It was doomed to fail from the beginning, but they didn't clean up the Kmart at all. It was basically, there's still, stains on the floor. There's, the old remnants.
Stains around the floor of an old Kmart.
Yeah, it was.
it is Kmart.
It was. There was missing tiles. I'm sure there's asbestos dripping from the ceiling. If asbestos does drip, I'm sure it drips when it gets
liquid
wet.
asbestos. I get it.
Do you guys remember Venture?
Yeah. What is it?
Do you remember Venture?
Venture what?
That was a department store.
I
Venture.
clearly did not remember that.
It was before Kmart.
And it was probably a Venture store before Kmart store. So probably when Venture, Kmart, then Sears.
More businesses destroyed.
Yeah, and
it was also a Woolworth.
Yeah. It's also the Warner Brothers gift store. That store, like Venture and Kmart before, it ended up failing. It's now Harley Davidson Depot. But that store was more. It was more so. The bad part was more so the. Everyone there was fucking each other, which sounds like a benefit, for someone my age who was 20 at the time. But
a bunch of Kmart workers?
No, they're Sears workers.
Oh,
yeah, a bunch of discount Sears workers.
A bunch of discount Sears workers. The thing is,
you weren't included.
I wasn't included. I was included in the fucking. So it was like I was invited to the company parties that were. I'm assuming were just orgies. And
So would it have been the best job ever if you were included in it?
Let's see. It was a Sears outlet store in the middle of nowhere. So you can imagine, if I was like a 10 there, which
So you're saying you were a Sears 10?
I was a Sears 10. A Kmart 12 and I'm sure probably a Venture 20. I haven't seen their employees.
What, a TJ Maxx 6?
Yeah, TJ Maxx 6. Yeah. Nordstrom, wasn't even like
you're not allowed.
I'm not allowed Nordstrom.
It's off the radar.
They, so most of, we had the lady who was missing a finger, was leathery skin, dressed like she was in her 20s but was 57 at the time.
And she didn't try to get with you.
No, she didn't try to get with me. She was also left out.
But did she get with other
I'm assuming it was me and her who were left out of it. There's a guy who had 3 front teeth. And I'm assuming he may have had others, but 3 front teeth for sure. There was...
So I'm confused. If you were a Sears 10, wouldn't you be like the hot commodity?
See,
everyone would want to get a piece of that?
I'm a Sears 10 in my mind, but I'm a... apparently Sears is at a different kind of curve. My curve is I'm a 10. At Sears 10, I was unobtainable. Or...
It's a bell curve.
It was a...
You're just so unattainable that they're like, we're not even going to try.
That, or I was,
invite him to
in reality, a Sears 3. So, I mean, it's one or the other.
What about the 3-tooth guy? Did he ever hit on you?
Well, I mean, I had my chance with him. It was a 3-way with his 3 teeth. So
it would have been a 4-way, really.
Yeah, I guess it would have been a 4-way.
It would have been a 4-way.
He seemed eager. He seemed like he'd been a gentle, generous lover, but never got with him. I could only imagine.
Did you try?
Yeah,
I mean, he might not have turned you down.
I didn't try too hard. I mean, he might have been part of the Sears sucking crew or whatever they call themselves.
Alliteration.
I just like alliteration. The Sears sucking 7.
So what are the other 6 of the?
The other 6. Well, there was
the tri-S's.
Well, there was Sammy Samuelson was of course one of them, and Cynthia spelled with an S, and Cynthia with an S. There was and there was just other S names. I'm sure, and but that job wasn't that bad. And you're looking back, and it was just the feeling left out of their...
Yeah, what was bad? Were the bosses bad? Was it poorly run?
It was poorly run. We had the guy who couldn't make it at the Sears, just general brick and mortar store, so he got sent down to we're the B League, so he got sent down from general department store to the outlet store, and he ran it, but he was at least 100 pounds overweight. He started wearing an earring after he started working there.
So how old was this guy?
I don't know. He looked like he had a mustache. He had the pedophile mustache, and he had this high whiny voice, like, "Oh, hi everybody,
Oh no!
gather around for a team meeting." But he had no control over the store. Was the main thing. I'm assuming he added the earring to try to get into that the Sears, the triple S, the Sears sucking 7, but he
Tried to buy his way in.
He tried to bribe his way in. He tried to look cool. He tried to bring his age down at least 20 years. He had to be in his 50s.
He was trying to be with the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Appeal to the young guys.
Yeah,
maybe he was really hitting on you.
He probably was. He probably was trying to start his own 7.
Hey,
yeah.
do you like the new earring? I just got this.
It was. He probably was trying to start the new 7. And combine the 7th into a 14.
Or the 6, anyways.
Yeah, the 6. So he was trying. I mean, I should have.
I tell you, this guy is bothering Lucy so much that I don't think we should.
I don't think she likes a 3-tooth man.
Yeah.
All right, we won't talk about him anymore. Okay, good. Settled.
Unless she's probably telling her her job. It's her. It's probably
And
just
watch this,
you
you
think
pull
it's
a
her
slide.
turn.
Oh yeah, it's her turn.
It's her turn now.
You pulled a slide in
You can
Anchorage,
tell
Alaska.
it's still really bothering her, this job.
Anchorage to know.
It's getting
And you had
her.
to pull it all that distance.
I don't know. I think she's the elf from Harry Potter. She looks like Dobby.
Dobby?
With her ears. Why are you secretly an elf? That's the worst job ever to work for that family. They are the worst.
And we're back from that break. In case you were wondering, there was some technical issues with the dog shouting, as you just heard. But yes, I had the other job where I worked at an oil change, and I got paid. So my friend got me hired at this oil change place, and I negotiated my salary, or not my salary because it wasn't that kind of job. But I negotiated my pay.
My hourly wage.
I negotiated my wage, and I got paid $2 more than my friend, and I didn't know how to change oil.
Yeah.
So what happened is that he was the only one that knew how to change the oil, so he did all the work, And I kind of just went there.
Got paid to do nothing.
And got paid. So that was great. And then also...
That's not a worst job story. You want to hear worst
And then
job
also
stories?
they had
Let's
the
hear it.
whole bottom.
Mine are legit awful.
Let's hear it.
All right, let's go. Let's switch your worst job.
Oh, my worst job?
Yeah.
My worst job was when my apartment got broken into in college, so I dropped out of NIU because I didn't want to be raped in the middle of the night because they wouldn't fix my door. So
If you were at my job, I mean, that would have been a perk. I mean, if I was part of that, I would have.
So I dropped out of college and I moved back home. And my parents were like, "You're such a scumbag. You need to get a job. If you're not going to go to school, you need to work 40 hours a week." So not only did I work 40 hours a week, I found a job at this shitty little place. It's a small family-owned business. It's a shitty family. They're white trash. They're the white trash of St. Charles. And
We're going to go ahead and edit that out for the business people.
well, whatever. They're horrible people. And basically, the bank would repossess houses, and we would go in and clean them up.
Oh,
And fix things up and take pictures to show the before and after that things were fixed. I wouldn't. I worked in the office, so I had to put all the pictures together of what you did and what you know. But
Did the owner sneak in like scantily clad like thong photos of himself, like in between like pictures of remodeling? It was like, tell me what you think about the woodwork over here, and there's just
it's just like
I'll show you some woodwork.
and in between was just a big old, or most likely a small dick in between. Just raging,
I would
veiny
have
hard on.
had that would have been the best job if that was the case because it would have made me laugh. But no, I literally had to show up at 6:30 in the morning, and typically wouldn't leave until 12:30 at night because I was told I would be fired if I didn't show up at 6:30 when the guys got there to go out to the city to do these house things, and they wouldn't come back until like 5 o'clock, and then I had to put all the pictures together. So. It was awful. I worked like 90 hours a week. The husband and the wife were criminals. Both been arrested.
Were they the same criminals that broke into your apartment? Is that the same people?
I mean, they may have been.
You don't know.
That the mom, the husband and the wife had a threesome with this younger girl, 20-something-year-old.
Oh, they worked at Sears with me. Yeah.
They probably did, except it started off online. So the husband drove his motorcycle out to California to pick up this girl, brought her back to Illinois on his motorcycle.
Okay, so it was a cross-country motorcycle ride with someone riding on the back the whole time.
Was there a sidecar?
There was no sidecar. It was a Harley.
If only... I do want the sidecar with the old-fashioned like goggles and scarf blowing in the wind. I thought
like
you
Snoopy.
Yeah, I thought you were originally going to say your first job was to break into buildings, and you hit your apartment was the first stop, and you were...
That was the first stop.
That was the first stop. That was that was a bad job. I misread the numbers right off the bat.
I was really bad at breaking into places. That's why I gave that one up.
And Katie.
But for real, he threatened me. When he brought this girl back, right? They had been together, and the wife and him had threesomes and stuff. It was weird. She had some condition, medical condition, where she required medication, and so they paid for her medication.
Are you saying they all like climbed into her iron lung and fucked?
Basically.
It's crowded in there.
Yeah, the crowded iron lung and just fucking.
It was so awful. They were the worst, and she worked with me, and she would tell me what to do because she was banging both of them, and I'm like, oh my god. And she had and then the mom had like a 16-year-old child and like a 9-year-old. I was like, what the fuck? You guys are nuts. And on top of everything, he threatened me. He goes, we have pigs out back, right? Pigs that, if you kill somebody, they eat everything.
He's like, I just saw Hannibal last night, and I think that's a real thing. So if if you've seen the movie, be scared. If you haven't, go watch it, and then be freaked out.
I was like, dude, oh god, it was the worst. I worked 90 hours a week and got $750 a month.
I feel like there has to be some sort of... I'm not sure what was wrong with the wife, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever.
Everything.
But if she couldn't walk, I feel like there has to be some sort of money to be made from a product, like an Iron Man suit for disabled people to fuck. just like a constant just a waist down thing that just thrusts them.
Some sort of pneumatic thruster.
Yeah, some sort of. But I feel like you have to get some sort of deal with. Get themes, get a deal with Disney, having like an Iron Man waist down thing, a Black Panther, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
To be honest, Disney probably won't make it. They're more of a family company.
Then the Weinstein Company. What movies did they make? Yeah, so there's some sort of
Yeah, the Weinstein Company could make it.
Catch Me If You Can, waist down stuff, and
So they made Tarantino movies.
Yeah, you can go get to work on pitching that idea.
Yeah. I feel like he has nothing better to do right now.
What was your first job, Katie?
My worst job, I don't know. I never had like a really bad job. There's just like different things that happened during the jobs that probably weren't the best. So I was a teller for a bank.
Ooh, that's a hard job.
And probably the worst part, like you get a lot of different people coming into the bank, like a lot of the same people, but then you get some weird people coming in. So there's this one guy that used to come into the bank all the time, and he was like he's probably in his 50s or 60s, and he always would hit on all the girls who worked there.
How many teeth did he have?
So
I
don't know, probably a full mouth.
Did he have a Sears?
Yeah, did he have a mustache and an earring? I might have worked with him.
Did he have 3 teeth?
It's possible.
Were there 6 other people with this man?
Were they trying to recruit?
Yeah.
They might have been in the car waiting. He was feeling it out, seeing if he could get.
Were they wearing robes of some sort?
Yeah, but he used to come in, and whoever had to help him that time, he would always make these weird comments and kind of look you up and down. And it was really, really awkward. Like, I remember one time I was helping him, and he just was like, he looked at me, he's like, I never knew such beautiful women worked at the bank. I was like, okay.
I never knew such pedophiles banked
And
here.
then I know the other girl, yeah, thank you, okay.
Thank you.
Let me. What was his bank account? I'm sure you saw his bank account. How much money did he have?
Yeah,
Because
for
that tells you how much you should
exactly.
play in to what he's doing.
I like the way you're thinking.
Not
Tommy.
much.
Yeah.
There was not much in
Well,
there.
yeah, you did the right thing.
It wouldn't be worth it, is
Yeah,
what
you gotta-
all I have to say. It wouldn't be worth it.
There's a few zeros after that number. Or there's too many zeros before the number. Before
If
the
there are
decimal.
enough zeros behind, he said, I didn't think there were that many.
Yeah.
That sexy of
If
bank
it was enough
customers.
zeros, she would have been like, oh, thank you. Said it in such a different way.
Yeah, that
oh
would
my
have
God, thank you so much.
been like, oh my god, like,
Oh, do you want to take me to dinner?
Yeah.
If there
Take me
were 9 zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember he said to the other girl I work with, and she's older than me, she has kids. And she's married, obviously, but,
Obviously.
No,
Obviously,
obviously, because we know you can't have kids without being married.
Exactly.
You're right. It's a golden rule.
They will
Yeah.
It's a golden
You
rule.
can't work at a bank.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can't work at a bank without being married. If you have a child out of wedlock,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to work at.
Yeah, that's one of the requirements. But he said to her, like,
Bankers have morals.
he tried to ask her out to lunch. Like, he's like, oh, what are you doing after this? And she's like, I'm working. He's trying to get her to go out to lunch with him. And then he said to her, like, oh, I really like that shirt you're wearing. And she's like, oh, thank you. And he's like, no, thank you. And she's like,
How big was his erection when he left? Is my question. I want to know how loose were the pants and how visible was his erection when he left that bank?
oh, it was very distracting.
Is veiny?
Was it veiny? Yeah.
I
Wait,
couldn't tell through the
bank
See the
pants.
vein
in a
through the
grocery
pleats.
store or just like a standalone bank?
A standalone.
Oh, I thought you
I was
said-
gonna say the grocery store bank. That would have been quite awkward walking around with a boner.
I thought you said a standalone vein. I'm like, I'm sure he probably had
Standalone vein.
He had one vein. It's just one thick vein
Yeah.
that just wrapped around it like a barber
The
shop.
coil.
You see the blood come.
It would be the
It's
same.
the
It would be
barber-
the same thing. It's a pasty dick with like a bright red vein that went right up to the tip.
And you're like, oh, I see that your heart's beating 85 beats a minute.
Yeah, you're clearly excited.
Ooh.
You let go into the bank.
Yeah.
You guys were through complaining about getting hit on. If I had that, I wish I had that at my job. I was begging for that.
From a 60-year-old veiny person?
Oh, she wasn't veiny. She was leathery, is what she was.
Oh, leathery.
I'm sure that.
When you say leathery, is she like a Florida tan mom leathery?
Yeah. She. I mean, she smoked a lot, so she had some sort of oral fixation.
Shore leathery. There's a big difference.
No, she was just straight leathery, like.
Oh, was she like High Plains or desert leather?
It might have been a desert leather. It was a dry heat. It was a dry heat that radiated off her
Maybe that's
her
why
nethers.
she dried out so quick.
What was her hair color? Like, did she have like...
And a perm.
like,
so she was still living
perm.
in the day of the perms, which was
Perm. Interesting.
70s.
Oh.
I'm sure she got it and realized she couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, I did that too.
So,
Or she just wanted to match her pubes. I don't know, either way.
Ew.
How do you know her pubes?
Yeah, how do you know if you weren't part of...
Yeah, you
Yeah,
weren't
you
part
were
of the
part of
seven.
the group. You weren't included.
That's true. That's true.
Are you just like...
Tell us more.
It's wishful
Stories.
You're
thinking.
the part of the orgy age.
Wishful thinking. I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, one thing I want to get into also is, what was your best quitting story of a job? Does anyone have any interesting quits?
Most of my quitting stories are stop showing up, and I figure they'll get the message later on. So
Exactly. Yep.
that was most of mine. So a lot of it was. Then I get the email back like, "Don't put us on your resume," but I still did. So it was more. I don't think I had any. Let's see here. Nothing. No, nothing. I always wanted to do the shit on the desk, but I worked a lot of retail, so there was no desk besides the checkout counter, which then I'm just punishing the customers at that point.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think I have any good ones.
Yeah, my best quit was I worked one afternoon for this. I forget what it was. It was basically sales canvassing where you go door to door and you put like things on the windows or on like not the windows but on like the front door.
Yeah.
And then the people will see it and call up. But about 20 minutes into the job, I'm just like, this is terrible. Bail. And just left. Went back to the place like, hey, we quit. Don't even worry about paying us. We were headed home.
I worked for a pyramid scheme for a little while, and that was.
You knew it was a pyramid scheme?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't realize until I got there, and the guy training me is explaining. I'm like, this is. He's explaining a pyramid scheme to me, and he's younger than I am. He's training me, which is already bothering me. But the fact that he's explaining a pyramid scheme to me of how his plan is to get rich is. Anyway, so I tell him, like, that sounds exactly like a pyramid scheme. And he goes, yeah, I know. My mom said the same exact thing to me. And my mom said the same exact thing, but it's not. It's totally not a pyramid scheme. It's totally different. I'm like, okay, I'm sure. So that was I just stopped showing up for that one. I said, okay, well, I'm probably not going to do this again. But I said that to myself.
Yeah.
And then didn't show up. And, I didn't get a paycheck there either. That was...
Yeah, the worst places are the ones...
I've had that a couple of times. Remember, I worked for Quill? That's total pyramid scheme. They have this awesome office where you go in and everybody claps and you're all like, let's do this. You got to sell this, that, and that today. And you go door to door selling shit.
This job was...
And it only benefits the person. They go, if you sell enough, you can have your own office.
And that's exactly what this was. And they did the claps. Like, let's give them 5 claps for selling. And I was working with a lot of people from like Romania and the Ukraine. And the big thing was they can't even speak English, which a lot of them could. So it was just, the guy was clearly just slightly, closet racist, I feel. And it was because there was Indian people, and he said just generalize all of them. Doesn't matter if they don't look white, American, Midwestern. He just assumed they couldn't speak English, and then that'd be motivation for all, everyone else. Like, well, you can speak English, and they can't. And they get so many sales. And I just felt like the people who were high up there were the people who jerk off to Wolf of Wall Street and use that as just, fap. And I just got that's all it was like a wannabe, people who couldn't make it through Wall Street were like, well, we can do the next best thing. It's just a pyramid scheme, which I'm assuming is how those people on there think.
Yeah, I think that everyone's probably gone to the interview where it's like, oh, it is a pyramid scheme, or it's
every single one on Craigslist. Do not go to them. They're all like, come work for our company. You'll make so much money. You go there and they trying to sell you on the job, and that's not this.
He's like, don't mind the earring and my mustache. I'm a gentle lover.
I promise you'll make so much money you
Hey.
get an earring like me.
I used to be a manager of a former Kmart.
Former Kmart.
And look at me now.
Look at me now. I'm looking for. I'd assume it'd be
Gullible
sex.
people.
Some sort of sexual deed on Craigslist. If you think you could satisfy my tiny micro penis.
I don't have a quitting story, but the one it's more sad is that I wanted to keep it. Like, it was like kind of like my first job in high school besides like babysitting. I worked at a flower shop because a friend of mine was working there, and so for their Valentine's Day season they needed extra help, so I was like, he got me the job there. So it was fun, and I just wanted money, you know. It wasn't necessarily that I cared about this job. I just wanted to make money. And so after the holidays was over, I was like, oh, well, let's like, hopefully they'll keep me on. And then they just like stopped scheduling me, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't get to quit. They just stopped scheduling me.
My favorite was, I don't know, it's more of a firing story. Is Jordan, my brother, he worked at, I don't remember where he worked at.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Before you start,
Yeah.
how many jobs has Jordan had?
Jordan's had quite a few. Jordan's had very interesting jobs too.
And how many has he been fired for?
He's been, he does the old, I'll work to this time period and then I'm going to go out of town to like some sort of music festival. So that's what he did here. Was he worked this place, went to the music festival, didn't tell them. He kept getting scheduled for like the 2 weeks, or the week he was gone.
He didn't tell them?
Not only he told him, and then he showed up he showed up 3 weeks later, so he was back for 2 weeks already. Showed up 3 weeks later, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? You don't work here anymore, you've been gone for a month. And he said, oh, I didn't realize you'd fire me for not So then he left.
That's just George Costanza.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that's frowned upon.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. He just showed up. He had the audacity to be like, I gotta go to work today after 3 weeks off.
Well, there's a few times we were there, like, oh, Jordan, you probably should wake up for work. I'm going to be 5 minutes late, so I'm just not going to show up. It's like, or the time he slept 2 hours past when he was supposed to be there. It's like, well, I'm scheduled for 8 hours. I already missed 2. I'm not going to, I'm just going to, I'm going to keep sleeping.
What about the time where he used his job pretty much just to nap in the closet?
Oh, yeah, that's another one. He was, it was basically just a custodian job. So, but he'd go in after usually drinking or partying the night before and sit in the closet, the custodian closet,
Ew.
and sleep. But he said it was clean. It was a small closet, big enough for a person to kind of sit and lean and nap. So he napped for about his 6-hour shift, get out and leave. Didn't clean anything. I don't know if he quit or that's another. I don't know if he quit or got fired from that one, but it was eventually got back because there was like a third party like cleaning service.
I assume it probably got back that nothing was clean.
Yeah, that was it. It was like the person, because he walked out of the custodian closet after his nap after the end of his shift, and someone was like, someone threw up down over there. He's like, well, I clocked out, so it's.
I wonder if Jordan sounds like...
so he's a janitor. He went to the janitor closet, and they just say to someone, yeah, I just clocked out.
Yeah.
I put in my hard day shift.
I
Sounds
just
like
put all this stuff away.
Jordan could be part of the cleaning company that works for my work, because at my work we always find, like, they always leave their used cleaning rags in our office somewhere. We call it like our version of Elf on the Shelf, because there's always like, oh, we found a rag. They just like, it looks like they just kind of like rubbed it on the counter and then just left it there, and they're like, done. Did like a swipe, and then they're like, okay, I'm done. Sounds like Jordan was like, you know, in a nap.
No, my
and he's
favorite,
like,
though.
okay, let me just like act like I cleaned a little bit, and then just leaves the rag.
I think so. He worked there for less than a month. So
the thing is,
Don't take the phone, you psycho.
these Jordan stories still sound like there's so much bad companies as he's a bad employee.
I think it's a little bit of both, because he
You're okay.
that same company. So he didn't work a day. You know, he maybe put in 15 minutes of work the whole time, mainly sleeping. But then after he got, I'm assuming he was fired and not quit. It might have been a mutual thing, like, you're not doing work. He's like, yeah, that's right, I'm not. I probably shouldn't be working
Like,
here.
I don't want to work anyway.
But then
You're not working, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm no longer employed here, right?
And so
but technically, I worked for those hours. Do you need to pay me?
See, that's the
I was
thing.
sleeping.
That's the thing. They withheld his paychecks, and he's like, hey, I worked those hours. I want that paycheck.
They're like,
I could've-
did you work those hours?
I mean, he was clocked in.
So
That
Okay.
counts, right?
yeah, he was technically clocked in. They paid him for. I don't know if he ended up getting any money or if they were like, okay, here's $80, leave us alone. But
Yeah.
he saw the owner at a bar. He's like, hey, I need my money. He's like, no, you're not getting paid. You didn't work. So Jordan's the one you really need on for this.
Yeah, so
Sure.
perhaps my next guest next week will be Jordan.
Jordan Hoffman.
So I think that about does it on the worst JobCast. I want to thank my guests and my co-host Tom Hoffman.
Yes.
Tune in next week. I'm sure we will have another fantastic conversation.